Hello and welcome to Leeroy Gaming, where today we continue our coverage of Pathfinder Wrath of the Righteous. And today we have a very special video where we're going to be going over what I believe is arguably the most impactful new element brought to Pathfinder Wrath of the Righteous, and that is the Mythic Ability element that is being added to the game. Now, if you're new to my videos, you're going to notice that they're quite extensive. For your convenience, I have gone ahead and added extensive timestamps in the description below so you can navigate the labyrinth of my video. I hope you guys enjoy it. Now, if you're enjoying my content, liking what I'm doing for you, keep it simple, leave a like. Now, let's jump right into the video. So, I mentioned right at the beginning of the intro, I felt like this feature is the most impactful, and some people might find that controversial because what's getting all the attention is the mythic paths, having your main character turn into an angel or a demon kind of born or a lich, etc. And that is extremely impactful, but the key thing is that that element only impacts one character. Now, mythic abilities impact you, but also all of your companions, and they are absolutely game-changing, as you're going to see throughout this video. Now, we will be going through every single one of these in depth, so as mentioned at the beginning of the video, if you want to navigate, save yourself some time, find what you really want to look at, take advantage of those timestamps, or if you really want, watch the whole video, grab some popcorn, grab a soda, maybe some coffee, and join me for the mythic abilities. So, starting right at the top, we're going to begin with abundant casting. So, right off the bat, this is huge. You have learned of a way to increase the number of spells you can cast per day. Benefit: you can cast 4 more spells per day of first, second, and third level spells. That is absolutely humongous. And you're going to see there's going to be another version of this that lets you do higher level spells in the same way. But this is a great beginning spot. It's going to let you cast so much more. It's going to make casters feel so much more powerful. Not that they needed help to feel powerful, but just so much more functional, whether it's healing or casting haste on themselves and the group. It's just going to be absolutely great. And as you can imagine, a big impact on your game. Next, we have Abundant Ki. Now, obviously requires EQ pool, so like a monk. You'll learn a way to increase your ki pool. Benefit: your ki pool increases by a number of points equal to your mythic rank. Now, this is a little underwhelming at first because you're going to get your first mythic rank rather quickly, and you can get up to 10 ranks. So eventually, you can get, up to 10 additional uses or key points. But early on, this is probably not one of the better choices because if you take it right away, you're going to get 1. Whoop-de-doo. Some of these other elements are much more impactful. But again, long-term, this could be a decent option. Remember, you're going to get a total of 5 of these as you level up the mythic path. So you're going to have a decent amount of options. All right, next. Always a chance. Your attacks are now less affected by luck. Benefit: you don't automatically miss when you roll a 1 on an attack roll. This is one of those things that if you're playing the game and not checking your stats on the right, you're probably never going to notice this. So it's basically an extra 5% chance to hit. And most importantly, it's not an auto fail. So if you roll a number 1 normally, even if you're fighting something weak, and technically your attack roll is higher than an AC, the fact that you rolled a 1 is an automatic miss. So it is more impactful than a 5% increased chance to hit. But at the same time, if you want something that makes you feel really powerful, this is probably not going to be it. Next, Archmage Armor. You are a master of the Mage Armor spell. Benefit: whenever you cast Mage Armor on yourself, it gives an additional armor bonus equal to your mythic rank. This is bonkers potentially. We're talking up to plus 10 AC bonus on top of the 4. So at max level, your magic armor can be plus 14 AC. That is ridiculous. Now, do note again, mage armor you can normally cast on other people. This special magic mythic feat only impacts you. So that way it's not completely busted, but it's still busted. Next, Ascendant element. At first, let's see, hold on. You mastered a certain element to a spectacular level. So you're going to choose one of the elements: acid, cold, electricity, fire, sonic, or negative. The damage of that energy type you deal can no longer be prevented or reduced by resistances or immunities. So this is great. Why? Well, guess what? We're fighting demons. A lot of demons immune to fire. Get this, not immune anymore. Can be very, very powerful, especially if you're going really singular focus. You want to be just a fire mage, just a lightning mage, whatever you want to be, whatever your Pathfinder fantasy is, it is now possible because you don't have to worry about running into monsters that are going to be immune to your damage. So that's huge. Next, I love this one. My evil character is a summoner, a necromancer, so I got giddy the second I saw this. Ascendant summons. Your creatures you summon gain a piece of your mythic power. Benefit: creatures summoned by you gain a bonus to its strength, dexterity, constitution, wisdom, and charisma, equal to half your mythic rank plus 1. Their attack now ignore damage reduction except for n/ that sign. I don't even know what it is. The little line. But basically, they bypass pretty much everything outside of, I think this is the damage reduction that like the barbarians damage reduction gets. I forget the name of this. My rules lawyers, if you can come to the rescue, comment below what this is called. But unless you have the like that superb, almost unsurpassable damage reduction, you're going to be fine. That's big because most of your summons are going to have, you know, natural attacks or maybe magical, and they're not going to be as effective against some of the tougher enemies. So this gets passed out really easily. Love it, love it. Best jokes. You are a master of hideous laughter spell. Benefit: when a creature fails a saving throw against your hideous laughter spell, another random enemy within 30 feet of the target is affected by the same spell. The chain continues as long as targets continue to fail saving throws. So this sounds really good if you have the capacity to make sure that you're bypassing beating their you're basically making the checks for this. So that is the key here. It sounds really fun. From a practical standpoint, I don't know if this is going to be a best joke or just a joke. So we'd have to see how it works out. But I could see if you did you picked a bunch of mythic feats and mythic abilities to make your spell casting really, really hard to resist. Namely, making sure that your hideous laughter spell is very, very hard to resist. I could see this just ping-ponging and just impacting everybody that's not immune to it, and then just mopping the floors of them. So potentially very, very good. Boundless healing. Another must-have, probably a first choice automatically for any healers. So your healing is no longer affected by common limitations. Benefit: whenever you cast a cure wound spell or another healing spell, it becomes reach as though using the reach spell feat. Also, the amount of hit points it now restores depends entirely on your caster level and disregards any limits in the original spell. So reach spell, you can alter a spell of a reach range of touch, close, or medium to increase its range by one range category using the following order: touch, close, medium, and long. This is big because the majority, you know, your cure light wounds, medium wounds, etc., they're touch. So this lets you basically add a range to it, and that is very, very powerful, especially as you know in this game it's very easy to get cluttered. you have your pets and all your different characters all getting stuck on each other in the middle of combat, and while your healer's trying to path to whoever you get to heal, they can just die before you can get to them effectively. This will kind of help alleviate a lot of that. And again, obviously, it increases how much you heal for. Okay, next, we have Brutality Incarnate. The wounds you inflict with your natural attacks are anything but natural. Benefit: your natural attacks now ignore all damage reduction except N/dash. That's what I'm going to start calling it. This is big. If you shapeshift and you have a bunch of natural attacks, you don't have to like cast Magic Fang on yourself or anything along those lines. Very, very powerful for any Transformers. All right. Cleaving Shot. Another good one. Each time you deal critical damage with your ranged weapon attack or reduce the target to 0 hit points, you deal your weapon damage to all other enemies in a 10-foot radius. Notice it says you deal weapon damage. It doesn't, you don't have to successfully hit those enemies. That's huge. So if you're fighting a boss with a bunch of small adds, focus down those little adds. Every time they pop and die, you can do AoE to everybody, including the boss. Or if you crit. So either way, very, very powerful for the ranged characters out there. And definitely for Lan and my other ranged characters, this was a first pick. All right, Dimensional Retribution. You leave a mystical link with enemy spellcasters that lets you instantly move to them. Benefit: every time you are targeted by an enemy spell, you gain the ability to teleport to the spellcaster as a move action for the next 2 rounds. This is, I could see being a meme ability. At the same time, very potentially powerful. You get a caster range, nukes you down once. All of a sudden, if you're like a melee character, you instantly teleport to where they are and just own them in milliseconds. So, very, very cool thematically. Curious to see how this actually functions in the game. How you would proc that. Because obviously, if you're playing in real time, you get hit. You know, how do you react? You just have it on auto, like an auto toggle, and it procs as soon as a spellcaster hits you? I don't know. I haven't tested it out, but I could see it working like that. Distracting Shots. Your ranged weapon attacks are dangerous enough for the enemy to forget about melee threats. Benefit: if you hit an enemy with a ranged weapon attack, they receive penalty on AC against melee attacks equal to half your mythic rank for 1 round. So obviously, you need to keep attacking the same enemy if you want to keep that debuff on them. Low level, it's not a big deal, but hey, mythic level 10, -5 AC, not bad. It could be the difference between hitting and not hitting a really high level monster. So potential, obviously not. There's other abilities that are like more instantly impactful, but this is one that I don't think you can sleep on either. Domain Zealot. This is interesting. You moved closer to your deity and to the power it has over its divine domains. Benefit: you can use the abilities of your domain as a swift action. How good or bad this is going to depend on the domain. A lot of them will have like an action ability to like attach touch attack or range touch attack, like a ray ability or something like that. So those could be pretty cool, being able to do that, and then also that same round attack. So good. Other situations may not be as impactful, so your results may vary, but has potential. Elemental Barrage. You mastered the art of raining elemental spells on your foes and found a way to empower them by combining different elements. Benefit: every time you deal energy damage to a creature, you apply an elemental mark to it. If during the next 3 rounds you deal energy damage to a marked target with a different type of energy, the target is dealt additional divine damage. The damage is 1d6 per mythical rank of your character, so up to 10d6. And so this is going to benefit if you weave different elements. So sounds like here you have 3 rounds to do it. But you also have, you can just basically go back and forth, it sounds like, between 2 elements and to get these buffs. All right. And it is divine damage. Divine damage, very difficult to resist as far as I know. And correct me if I'm wrong, guys. I don't think there is any way to mitigate divine damage. I think divine damage is one of those damages that just gets through automatically. So I believe so. All right, and during spells, you have learned of a way to prolong the effect of your beneficial spells. Effects of your spells on allies that should last longer than an hour, but shorter than 24 hours, now last 24 hours. That's pretty interesting. So I'm assuming that means if like Mage Armor is 1 hour per level, so you're level 10 hours, well, that bumps up to 24 hours. Or even if you're level 2. I mean, you're not going to get this level 2, but let's say you're level 5 or 6 when you're going to realistically get your first mythic feat. You can make your Mage Armors last 24 hours. So now it says effects of your spells on your allies. Now, some games treat you as an ally to yourself, some do not. I am not sure if in Pathfinder your allies include you. So I don't know if anybody can confirm that or deny it based on Pathfinder rules. Please do in the comments below if you know. But there's a big difference there. So obviously, no matter what, it's nice to buff your party and have some of these longer buffs last pretty much indefinitely between rests. But at the same time, if you can cast it on yourself, it'll be all the much more powerful. All right, moving on. Enforced Vigor. Some people motivate their companions by their mere presence, while you learnt that pain is a much more potent motivator. Benefit: every time you damage an ally, they gain a +2 mythic bonus on attack and damage rolls, and a +1 mythic bonus on all saving throws. The bonus lasts number of rounds equal to half your mythic ranks. So this is kind of nice. The damage doesn't stack. The bonuses do. And it just procs off of, so it's a passive effect that procs whenever you do damage. So there's nothing wrong with a +2 mythic bonus because that's going to stack with just about everything. And +2 damage bonus and an extra save. So the only thing is obviously you have to be aggressive. If you are not aggressive, you're not going to get these benefits very often. So still very, very, very good. Ever ready. You're always ready to unleash some extra attacks. Benefit: whenever you make an attack of opportunity, you gain a bonus on the attack roll and damage roll equal to your mythic rank. Makes sense. So that's like up to +10 to attack and +10 to damage. Number of attacks opportunity you can make each round is increased by 2. So if you have a way of making yourself get attacks of opportunity reliably, this is very powerful. I mean, no other bonus can give you anywhere close to +10, +10. We saw the Enforced Vigor, that's a +2/+2. Now, again, it's because it's situational. But if you can make it something that is reliable, then this is going to be very, very good. Ever ready. Oh, sorry, we just read that one. Expose vulnerability. Your ranged weapon attacks expose the enemy's vulnerable points. Benefit: every third hit of a ranged weapon against the same enemy deals an additional 1d6 per 2 mythic ranks divine damage. You're going to want to be using like Rapid Shot of this. And obviously, key monks that get those extra attacks That's going to be, you know, flurry of shots, basically. This is very powerful for them because it really adds up. I mean, and it's divine damage. So bypasses all DR as far as I know. Caps at 5d6 extra damage. Not too shabby, especially if you're getting a ton of attacks out there. Oh, and it's passive. Let's not forget that. So you don't have to use an ability. There's no time limit on this. It's just every third shot you practice. Inspirational leader. You are a beacon of hope for your comrades, and they perform better near you. Benefits. Your allies within 50 feet of you gain a bonus equal to half your mythic rank +1 to your initiative. Their saving throws against mind-affecting effects, and their concentration checks. So making sure that you go first, you don't get mind control, then that you don't get interrupted. So very good utility. And the fact that only one party member needs this, and remember, all your companions are going to get these access to these mythic abilities. 50 feet is a huge amount of range within a game. So you can just have one of your characters sacrifice and get this, and it's a nice benefit. Last stand. Your mission is too important to fall in battle, and your mythic powers let you endure unbelievable things. Benefit once per day. When your hit points drop low, you become unkillable. For 2 rounds, you become immune to damage that would make you unconscious. So, if you're playing real time, you may very well miss this. I don't know if there's going to be some big old graphical effect, but I could see you like almost die, and 2 rounds go rather quick in real time. Now, if you're going turn-based, you know exactly when this procs, and you can be much more strategic about it. So, this may be like a false security blanket of sorts. Now, it could give you that extra time for your healer to get that big heal off on the tank or whoever that has this. So, it could be situationally beneficial, but your mileage out of this ability, I think, is going to be much greater if you're playing in a turn-based mode. All right. Leading strike. Your strikes make cracks in the enemy existence, leaving weak points for your allies to strike. Benefit. Every time you hit a target in melee combat, you leave a mark on it. An ally attacking the marked target deals additional divine damage equals to 1d6 per mythic rank to the target, consuming the mark. So it relies on you having an ally, but this is really kind of nice. It's, again, divine damage. It doesn't say that it acts like backstab damage, so it sounds like this could crit, etc., potentially. I don't know. But this is pretty cool. Pretty cool. Now we get to the really juicy stuff. And I hinted at this in one of the feat videos. Limitless Rage. Your rage knows neither limits nor bounds. Benefit. You no longer have a limited amount of range rounds per day. Instead, whenever you enter rage, you get a temporary hit point for every 2 rounds of rage you would be limited to without this ability. I want to restate. You no longer have a limited amount of rage rounds per day. So you can infinitely utilize your rage abilities. Or just be in rage and then take advantage of the abilities that are related to that. Now, the wording on this is a little weird. So it says, instead, whenever you enter rage, you get a temporary hit point for every 2 rounds of rage you would be limited to without this ability. So I don't know if that means, let's say you had 6 rounds of rage that you were limited to, just totally random number. Then you get to round 7, you keep on raging, but because now you're around in the extra, quote unquote, you get 1 health. And if you stay in that rage for 10 more rounds, you get 10 more hit points. That's how I'm reading this. If anybody is reading this differently, please let me know. But that's what it seems like. All right. Magic Nullification. Your mythic powers can negate any magic around you. Benefit. Activating this ability grants you magic immunity and dispels any spell effects on you. That's pretty bonkers too. This doesn't tell you how long this lasts. Okay? That's my only thing here. I'm sure we could test it out. But that's my only question. If it lasts a round, not so hot, comparatively speaking. If it lasts for an hour, amazing. If it's a minute per level or something, not too bad either. So potentially amazing, or it could be a red herring. Master Shapeshifter. You learn to use any shape to the utmost. Benefit. Whenever you are I love the language here. Whenever you are become the target of a polymorph effect, all the physical ability scores adjustments are modified by +4. But we're not done yet, guys. Additionally, if you have the wild shape ability, you can use it any number of times per day. So this is important because if somebody else polymorphs you, you still get that +4 modifier. But if you are a shapeshifter, whether it's a druid or there's like a war priest that is a shapeshifter, or if you're a sorcerer that turns into a dragon, you name it, not only are all the physical abilities scores, so remember that's strength, dexterity, and constitution. All of those go +4, but you can wild shape infinitely. Now, I do have to kind of maybe pedal back a little bit. It says wild shape. I don't know if like turn into dragon. I don't think that's a wild shape ability. I think the wild shape abilities in particular are like turn into a wolf, turn into a Smaladon, etc. But still, very, very powerful. The other polymorph effects, though, should impact any type. Unless the wording is wrong and they're intending for this to work also with, turning into dragons or other creatures that you can turn into in this game. Mythic Charge. Your charge carries the weight of your mythic powers. Your charge attack deals additional divine damage equal to 1d6 per mythic rank. My only problem of this is a lot of times because of the pathing and obstacles, there's so many times where I cannot get a charge off. It just says invalid charge. So this is potentially really good. Again, it's divine damage. But because there's so many situations where things can get crowded and you may not be able to get a charge off, this may not be nearly as good. Powerful Shadows. You'll learn to utilize the real power of the shadows. Your shadow spells are 20% more real. So I don't know if that means like blur makes it so that, instead of 20% concealment, it's 40%. If, mirror image or any of these abilities that are kind of, shadowy, quote unquote, if they're just going to increase the potency of that. I'm assuming that's what this means. I could be wrong though, but if this is what it is, what it sounds like, this is potentially very, very good because even like blur would double in double potency. All right. Ranging shots. Every time you miss an enemy with a ranged weapon attack, your aim improves, giving you a stacking +1 bonus on attacks against same enemy up to maximum of your mythic rank. Every successful hit lessens the bonus by +1. So, obviously, if you are doing a lot of rapid fire shots, you invest in rapid fire feats and the improved ones, etc. This could come in handy to help negate, some of those lost misses. All right, next. Rupture Restraints. You can create a surge of mythic power that frees you from all magical restraints. Benefit. 3 times per day, you can use this ability as a free action to automatically dispel any effect that makes you frightened, dazed, sickened, shaken, staggered, nauseated, stunned, paralyzed, or confused. So that could be potentially very good. Obviously on encounters where this is a thing, but it's going to be situational. So plus and minus. The bigger they are, the easier they are to hit for your ranged weapon attacks. Benefit: you gain a bonus on your attack rolls with ranged weapons equal to the penalty to AC the target receives from their size, if any. So you'll notice when you look at, like, you can mainly see it when you look at your transformation spells. You'll get like a -2 size bonus to AC, and then -4, etc. Normally what ends up happening is it ends up being negated by the fact that they'll get like natural armor that increases, etc. But this basically would give you a bonus to your attack based off whatever that number is. So it could be very, very good. And obviously, as the name states, the bigger they are, the bigger the bonus you're going to get from this. Next, we have Unstoppable. Your inner fortitude is so strong that it lets you overcome most debilitating conditions. Benefit: at any time you would become paralyzed, you become staggered instead. If you become nauseated, you become sickened. And you become shaken instead of frightened. So basically, you are immune from the nastiest of the status effects, and it always kind of tears down one. So that can't be overstated as far as how useful that could be, especially on higher difficulty levels. Abundant Arcane Pull. Requires Arcane Pull, obviously. You learned a way to increase your Arcane Pull. Your Arcane Pull increases by a number of points equal to your Mythic rank. So the same thing as that Abundant Key Pull thing. So again, more useful, obviously, if you pick it up later levels, so that you're getting numerous points out of this right away, as opposed to, you know, getting 1 point right away if you get it at your first not convenience, but first opportunity. Okay. Abundant Bane. So you need Bane or Greater Bane feature. You've learned a way to increase the number of rounds per day you can use your Bane ability. Benefit: number of rounds per day you can use your Bane ability increases by a number of rounds equal to your Mythic rank. So again, up to 10 additional uses. Abundant Smite requires Smite Evil. You've learned a way to increase the number of uses of Smite Evil ability. And benefit: you can use Smite Evil a number of additional times per day equal to half your Mythic rank. Notice that one is half. Abundant Bane was equal to your Mythic rank. So just keep that in mind, because it's double the effect here. Next, we have Beneficial Curse. It requires the Oracle's Curse feature. You have found out that curses can be blessings, and now you know how to use them. Benefit: you gain an additional Oracle Curse, but it gives you no penalties. That is ridiculous. So most of the time, they'll give you, extra bonus spells. They're going to give you some sort of special strong boost. It's like one of them I remember was like, oh, you're really at lower levels susceptible to disease, but eventually become immune to disease. So here you would never get those negative elements, and you would just eventually get that full immunity to disease and whatever other boons they are. So this is very, very big if you're going to be going of an Oracle build. Because again, you can just remember that you can plan your original curse to be one that doesn't have too much of a severe impact, and then if you identify a second curse that you're like, oh man, I wish I could get this, but I hate that negative effect, well, now you don't have to worry about it. This one is ridiculous, borderline broken, I think. Bloodline Ascendance. It requires a bloodline. So we're talking Blood Rager, a sorcerer, anything that has a bloodline. You are a paragon of your sorceress bloodline. Benefit: you immediately gain an ability from the 20th level of your bloodline. So basically you get your capstone. And for reference, again, you will get access to mythic abilities between, depending on how many side quests you do, some around level 5 or 6. So getting your level 20 capstone, this can change everything. In fact, during character creation, you may want to say, okay, well, which one of these bloodlines has a capstone that I would want? Chances are, if you played Pathfinder Kingmaker, you probably never got to play with your capstone if you were a sorcerer. Because you probably never got to level 20. Most people, I think, beat the game around level 16 plus or minus 1 level. So here you can get it right away, get all the benefits. Very, very cool. Defensive study is next. Requires study target. You found a way to use your perception and knowledge to better defend yourself. Benefit. Your study target ability gives you a bonus to AC against the target of your study target ability. So, not only are you getting the offensive benefits from the study target feature, but you also get defense. Everlasting Judgment requires judgments. You use your mythic powers to power your judgments. Benefit. You can now use judgments any number of times per day. Yeah, that's a thing. Pretty cool. Next, favorite metamagic. You can now use your mythic powers to fuel your metamagic abilities. Benefit. Select one kind of metamagic. The spell level cost for its use decreases by 1 to a minimum of 0. So you can basically, let's say you have the Metamagic, I think it's Extend. It's the one that basically increases the duration, it doubles it, and it costs 1 level. Well, you can pick that, and now it's free. So basically, you can, by default, on every spell you have, you can put that on there for free. It doesn't bump up any level requirements, and now it lasts twice as long. So if it's, once per round, it's duration for the effect, it's now 2 rounds. If it's a minute per level, it's now 2 minutes per level. If it's an hour, it's 2 hours per level. It can make a big difference. Probably the most impactful on the ones that are like, rounds per level or minutes per level, because those tend to just, especially if you're lower levels, less than 10, less than 12, something like that, those rounds can feel like they go really, really fast. So this just helps deal with that. Okay, next we got Free from Evil. Hell Knight level 1 is required. And Hell Knight's attacks are treated as good aligned for the purpose of overcoming damage reduction. Yeah, that's pretty cool. Next, Full Reservoire. Requires Arcane Reservoir. You learned a way to fill your Arcane Reservoir to the maximum. Benefit. You no longer gain only 3 plus 1.5 Arcane levels, Arcane points in the Arcane Reservoir after rest. Instead, you gain 3 plus Arcanist level points. So it doesn't quite double it because it doesn't double the 3, but that's a big difference. That at level 20 is an extra 10 Arcane points that you recover when you long rest or rest. So not bad. Greater Abundant Casting requires improved Abundant Casting. So this is big. This is what I was telling you about earlier. You have mastered a way to increase the number of spells you can cast per day. You can cast 4 more spells per day of 7th, 8th, and 9th level each. Most characters will get to use a 9th level spell maybe once, maybe twice. This adds 4. Now we've seen the ones that cover up to level 3s, and now 7, 8, and 9, and there's going to be the other one that we haven't seen yet because it's in alphabetical order. That's going to be 4, 5, and 6. It can't be stated enough. Basically, as a caster, you can pretty much set aside 3 of your feats for these abundant castings, and you're going to be having an extra 4 uses of level 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9 level spells. That's ridiculous. That's what? 9 times 4, 36 extra casts. And obviously that's not even close to being like equally weighted for impact, because those high level spells are going to be so impactful. So yeah, this is game breaking borderline. I want to say right now, this is making casters as powerful as they are in true D&D, where people say, oh, once you get a wizard or a caster to high levels, they or druids, they like, for example, they become gods. Well, here you go. Pretty darn close. Next, greater enduring spells. Requires enduring spells. You have mastered a way to prolong your beneficial spells. So now, this is, again, that second tier of this. We saw the enduring spells earlier. Effects of your spells on your allies that should last longer than 5 minutes, but shorter than 24 hours, now last 24 hours. So those spells that are 1 minute per level, as soon as you hit level 5, or technically level 6, where they last 6 minutes, they are now 24 hours. That means all of your Shields of Faith, all of the other defensive spells that stack, that up your AC, that your basically anything outside of your uses per round, it's going to have you covered. And I believe it's specifically done in a way that I don't think you can ever have. So if it's per round, and a round is 6 seconds, so 10 rounds is a minute. So level 20, your spells that are 1 round per minute will at best last 2 minutes. So basically, it's only saying that based off greater enduring spells, the only thing that by max level wouldn't be impacted by this are the 1 round per level spells. All right. Next, we have Impossible Domain. This is a lot of fun. Obviously, you need to be a class that has domain selection. You feel a closer connection to your deity. You gain 1 more domain, ignoring all domain prerequisites. All prerequisites. Don't have to have the alignment. Don't have to have the deity. It sounds like you can literally pick any domain. So if you pick, for example, one of the cleric archetypes, that's going to give you some benefits, but instead of having 2 domains, you sacrifice one of them. Go ahead. Yeah, you know you want that animal domain so you can get that companion. I know you're looking at me like, yeah, I'm totally going to do that. I know you are. This is amazing. Amazing. And obviously, if you're like a basic cleric and you get 2 domains, this is a third. Might be overkill. I think more often you're going to get your best bang for the buck for the classes that will only start with 1 and get a second one. I already have the gears in my head churning about the different type of builds. You can really min-max of this, have a lot of fun, or just create some really thematic and amazing options. So moving on. Improve the abundant casting. Requires abundant casting. So here's what we were talking about just a minute ago. You have studied a way to increase the number of spells you can cast per day. Benefit, you can cast 4 more spells per day at 4th, 5th, and 6th level each, as mentioned before. So we now have, if you were to get this, and the earlier one, and then the greater abundant casting, you're going to get 4 additional spells from 1 all the way to 9, 36 extra cast. Ridiculous. Next, Kinetic Overcharge requires a level 1 Kineticist. Makes sense. Use your mythic powers to fuel kinetic abilities. Benefit, gather power ability now reduces the burn cost of Kineticist Blast by 1 additional burn point. Do not underestimate this. This is a big deal. This is a really big deal. On a regular basis, you can do some abilities that aren't too overpowered, where you can basically take no damage or very, very little damage. This, over the period of your playthrough as a kineticist, is going to have a huge net effect. All right. My other favorite mythic ability. Now, if you've talked to any min-maxer or any content creator that makes content on Pathfinder, Kingmaker, or now Pathfinder Wrath of the Righteous, they're going to tell you companions are probably the most overpowered feature, especially now that you can put armor on them because they get their own class and you can give them feats. So you can give them armor proficiencies. Yeah, they don't have their own armor yet, but if you get some crazy full plate +2 or something, you get to put that on them. And guess what? They still keep their natural armor. Their AC is going to get insane. And it gets better because the benefit of this, now your animal companions are just as mythical as you. Benefit, your animal companion gains bonus to its strength, dexterity, and constitution equal to half your mythic rank +1. And most importantly, its attacks now ignore damage reduction except N/dash. So, very, very powerful, very, very helpful, and it obviously stacks up as the benefit gets better, progressively better as you level up as well. All right, Over-Infused Blast. Also requires Kinesis level 1. You can use your mythic powers to change your kinetic blast ever further. Benefit, you can simultaneously apply 2 substance infusions to your kinetic blasts instead of 1. So you're going to want to watch my Kineticist video if you want to know more about the Kineticist. They're kind of a complex class. There's a lot of features. They remind me of they're like psychic powered casters that channel their energy to become like something out of Dragon Ball Z. That's all I think of, like just energy blasting out of their arms, and whether it's flying or whatever it is, or at least that's how it was in the pen and paper Pathfinder. So, but this is one of those features that unless you actually play the character, this may not mean too much to you, but it can be quite potent. All right, next. Love this. Second Bloodline. Requires a class that has a Bloodline and doesn't have the following features. Second Bloodline. So it's saying you can't have 3 Bloodlines. You found a way to infuse your blood with even more powers. Benefit, you select the second Bloodline, getting all of its benefits. This is key because there's the archetype, I believe it's called Cross-Blooded, where you get 2. You get a second Bloodline, but of the second Bloodline, you only get the bonus spells and I think like the level 1 features. You don't get all the other abilities. So here you could be a full-on dragon and full-on undead, or full-on angelic and dragon, or angelic and arcane, you name it. 2 Bloodlines, huge. And there, of course, is one for the sorcerers. And moving on, not to be forgotten, second Blood Rager Bloodline. So, again, requires a Bloodline feature. Doesn't have second Blood Rager Bloodline yet. You find a way to infuse your blood with even more power. You select the second Bloodline, getting all of its benefits. And if you haven't seen my video on the Blood Rager Bloodlines, do check them out because they are different. The Blood Rager Bloodline abilities are distinct and different than the ones that you get for the Sorcerer, for example. So do check those out. I have an extensive video that goes over all of them and all the benefits. Next, second Mystery requires a class that has the Mystery feature and doesn't already have a second Mystery. You open your mind and soul to learn the secrets of a second Mystery. Benefit, you gain a second Oracle Mystery. And if you haven't seen my Oracle video yet, do check it out. It kind of goes over the elements. I also have a separate video that literally goes over all the Oracle mysteries and all the revelations with them, all the features. It is the foundation of what makes an Oracle. You basically become a double Oracle with just a lot more features and more spell options, etc. Very, very powerful. Second Spirit, again, requires a class that is Spirit, like a Shaman. Doesn't have the following feature, Second Spirit, so you can't double dip on this. Your growing powers that you speak to one more spirit. Benefit, you gain one more Shaman Spirit. Now, me personally, I haven't been too captivated with the Shaman class. I mean, if you compare them to Oracles, Sorcerers, their Bloodlines, etc., I just found them a little underwhelming comparatively. Not that they're bad or anything, but I don't know. Not really my cup of tea. But if it's your cup of tea, you're going to get 2 cups of tea because you can get double the spirits, and that has a big impact on you as well. Next, the penultimate ability, Throw Elixir, requires the infusion feature. You have mastered the art of applying elixirs at a distance. You can apply your elixirs from a distance of 30 feet. I know. After seeing second Bloodlines, second Mysteries, etc., this is going to sound really underwhelming, but it's only because that's that's what you're following. That's the act you're following. This isn't bad. Being able to apply them at a distance, pretty cool. Just not nearly as cool as getting a second Bloodline. And finally, the Witch Wandering Hex. Witch? Requires Witch level 1. You can make your patron give you additional powers. Benefit. This ability lets you select any Witch Hex and grants you the ability to use the selected hex. You lose the ability to use the hex after choosing another hex with this ability. So basically, you can only have one at a time. But notice this is any hex. So this sounds like you could pick one of the ones, even if you're lower level. I believe it lets you pick any level, so you can do one of the advanced hexes based off this wording. So this could be very, very good for witches. So guys, this is the list of mythic abilities. I'm sure you'll agree they're game changers. Some of them are cool. Some of them are amazing. Some of them will really, literally make your game easy mode. But I hope you guys enjoy this content. Now, special message to those of you that have watched this far. You are a statistical abnormality. I thank you for watching all the way here. I care about your opinions more than anything. As I grow this little channel, I love getting your feedback. I would love to hear constructive criticism, what you like, what I could work on. Any recommendations for content, leave them in the comments below. I check them all out. I respond to them personally. Again, I appreciate you. Thank you so much for watching. This is Leeroy with Leeroy Gaming, and I will see you guys in the next video.